Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I've got just a quick video here for you to show you something that I found. I stumbled upon this and definitely caught and piqued my interest. And the thing when it comes to gaming is that it's almost impossible to keep up with everything that's coming out. I mean, I've got a channel covering this shit, solitaire, solitaire gaming, and I can't keep up with it. I know if I can't keep up with it, the average person can't keep up with it. So occasionally I make a video that's a little outside my purview of what I normally cover, just to show you guys something that might pique your interest. If you are interested in the same type of stuff I am, might be something you would like to check out. Now with this, this is more along the lines of like Dungeons and Dragons, that type stuff, a tabletop role-playing game. But this is taken in a different direction. Now, the good part about this is if you have one of my all-time favorite games, you pretty much have everything you need to have this. Now, I was turned off of these originally. These book-based games where everything you need to know is in the book, basically. But you have to supply anything else that you want to use, like map and terrain and miniatures and all that other good stuff. But if you have Core Space, which I have wholeheartedly recommended to so many people, I love that game. I bought the game. I reiterate that. I bought it. They never sent me a copy. They never sent me anything. I love that game. It's one of my all-time favorites. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't. But if you have that game, then you have everything you need to play this one. Now, of course, yes, you add extra components and all that good shit. It makes it better. But you have the miniatures, you have enemies, you have humans, you have aliens, you have all that good stuff. So what this effectively is, it's a solo campaign-based war game in a sci-fi futuristic setting, okay? And it goes over everything that you need to know to take and actually get into that. So I haven't done a whole lot of tabletop role playing, but this it's more of creating your own story arc. And if you've played the war games, I'm blanking out now, the submarine games, the bomber games, the ones where you control your vessel, whatever it is, a submarine, a zeppelin, a B-17 bomber, and you're basically rolling on charts throughout it to kind of tell your crew's story as you go through your campaign. This aligns a little bit more with that than it does with things like Dungeons and Dragons, all right? So we're not telling that type of story. We don't need a dungeon master to tell us all that crap and like, oh, yay, you came to town and you met a prostitute and yada, yada. No, none of that crap's going on. This is about generating your crew and seeing what happens to your crew. Now, it's based mainly on humans, but you can have multitudes of different types of humans, and you can have robots, which I'm so excited about because my crew is going to have a bot in it. I'm just trying to decide what type it is. But it's also based around very simplistic stats. So if we see here, our little stats for our crew, you've got reactions, speed, combat skill, toughness, and savvy. Reactions basically has to do with when you go in combat. It affects certain other things, but that's the gist. Speed is how far you move, how far you go in inches. Starts at 4, moves up from there. Combat skill makes it to where you're more likely to hit. Toughness is how hard it is to kill you. And savvy comes into play with a lot of other things. So there's not a whole lot to keep track of when it comes to this. There's tables to roll on when it comes to creating your crew, the different types of crew that you can have, humans, aliens, bots, strange characters, the different types of aliens, the different types of strange characters. And the thing of it is, though, is that you can kind of play this game however you want to do it. So if you don't want to roll on all these charts, you don't really have to. There's pre-generated crews in here that you can pick from and go from there. I like how they got the little pictures in here, and it kind of gives you an idea if you want to do the miniatures, what the gist of the character is. but you can create your own, right? You can use whatever miniature you have. You don't even have to use miniatures. If you want to use counters, you could do that. You don't have to use anything you don't want to. But a lot of people do have this stuff if they're into any of that type of tabletop wargaming. And like I said, if you have played Core Space, if you have just the core box alone, right there, you have everything you need to play this. Because your crew is, what, 4 in that, in the Core Space. So it's 2 pirate crews, I think, of 4. So that the core box comes with 2 crews. So that's 8 miniatures right there. And then a bunch of different enemy miniatures. Now, it's mainly robot-looking ones, but there are a few aliens in there. The gist is there's plenty in that box. Plus, it has the neoprene mat for it to give you a base to go off of. And you can use the terrain that's in the box to kind of create a little futuristic town-looking area that you're fighting through. So you have everything in that box. To create buildings that they're fighting in and out of, shooting through windows, diving through doorways, all that good stuff. So if you don't want to play that game, Core Space, this is another way to use all of those components in an entirely different campaign. And that really, really tickled me. So I've been reading through the rule book, and there's just so much going on with this. This is not a quick playing game. Just so you know, there is a lot to go on. If you go in depth with the creating your crew, there's rolling on multiple different things. It will take a little while to generate your crew. Like I said, you don't have to. You don't have to. There are pre-generated crews you can get into, but it gets into everything. What your background is. Let's see, I think it's background, motivation. Yeah, motivation, your class, and yep, then we get into equipment. So with these 3 things here on your crew, you got your background, motivation, class, but they do things like change some of your stats. They might increase your toughness or your combat skill, or you get extra gear that you get to roll on, or maybe you start with more money. All of these different things come into play. I was thinking about it. You could really do this anyway. You probably don't want to give yourself too much of an advantage, but you could just pick. You don't have to roll if you don't want to roll. You could just pick a multitude of different characteristics for your crew if you really wanted to do that. Motivation does the same thing, gives potential bonuses to your guy. I think the rolling aspect really does kind of open up the game, because you can have just the strangest crew be created, and you'll luck out and probably have one guy that would be better at melee, another guy that's good at like sniping enemies. You do have to pick one that is your leader, your captain for your crew. Multitude of different weapons, some low-tech weapons. Think basic stuff: handguns, machine guns, rifles, shotguns, hunting rifles, blades, and blunt melee weapons. Basically the basic weapons, the starting stuff. And then you can get into the higher level stuff where you're getting into lasers and auto rifles and flak guns and all that other cool stuff. Gear table is stuff like armor, bipods, laser sights. Was it the what do they call that thing? The screen, kind of like a shield for your guys. All this cool stuff. And on top of having the crew, what good is having a crew if you don't have a ship? So there is the ability to have a ship, and that actually starts you off with a debt, which I think is kind of interesting. So you have your ship that you've bought to go out. It reminds me a lot of Firefly. If you guys have seen that, greatest show ever with Nathan Fillion. Had kill Fox for canceling that show. God, I love that show. Put in the comments if you love Firefly, because one of the best shows ever. But think that futuristic setting with a crew that is quirky and weird, and you've got your ship and you're flying along doing missions and gaining allies, gaining rivals, experience, new equipment, money, and you're doing all of it just so you can keep flying, so you can keep going to the next planet, next mission, see what you can find. Here they have just some character creation examples of what you could end up with by rolling on the table. And if you wanted to, you could just write these down and boom, you're good to go. They have an example of a crew log, and I'll show you guys that. You can pull this up. I would probably assume on BGG. I know you can do it on Modifius website as well, and print out this crew log. You definitely want to do that. There's blank ones in the back, but it'll be easier if you print it out. Probably a little bit bigger than writing it in, but real easy to keep track of what weapons they have, what their little stats are, ranges, movements, all the other good stuff. Real easy to keep track of right there on one sheet. I really like that. And that is also your example. And then we get into the main rules. And the main rules of the game are not hard to understand. It's not so in depth as a miniatures tabletop skirmish game that you can't play it and have just a fun time with it. Your characters can get killed, they can get wounded, they can have injuries. There's quitting the mission. Like, you don't go into every situation like it's a video game. You don't start off kind of weak and then build yourself up, and by the end you're just a towering juggernaut. Yeah, you'll get better as you go along, but you could have a couple of easy missions, like, you roll on the tables and it creates whatever scenario that you're going for, and the first couple could be easy, and then suddenly you're up against robot laser assassins that you barely even stand a chance against, and they're tearing your crew apart, and you might have to flee. That's the neat thing about this game, is you don't always have to complete the mission. Sometimes retreating is the better part of valor. Actions are easy to understand. It's basically movement and then a combat action and free action when it comes to the game. Movement, easy to understand. You can dash by doubling it or adding an extra, but you lose some of your actions in the process. You can move up and down terrain. Some of your characters can fly, what the types of enemies do, and then it gives you the different types of enemies. You could even roll on this if you wanted to, whether the enemies are going to be cautious, aggressive, tactical, throw caution to the wind, go beast mode if they're guardians, and that will affect their general characteristics on what they'll do during the game. Combat's easy too. Just a simple D6 roll, and these few conditions right here affect what type of roll you need. If they're within 6 inches and in the open, you need a 3+ to hit. If they're within weapon range in the open or 6 inches in cover, 5+, and within weapon range and in cover, it's going to be a 6+ to hit on a D6 roll. That's it. After that, you're rolling on the to hit, where your toughness comes in. Think, like most tabletop skirmishes, roll to hit and then roll to wound is what you're looking at. When you roll to wound, did you roll higher than their toughness? If you did, you killed them. And then if you don't, they get stunned. And some items do provide things like cover saves, like robots, for example. They have built-in cover saves because they're metal. I think that's just so freaking awesome. But you can also get armor, which increases it. There's things called like story points, which allow you to get rerolls. Luck can come into play because you lose luck points instead of dying. It's so many just little neat aspects, but the game is quick and easy to understand. I thought I was going to have to read through this whole book to understand the basics of the game. But let's see, here we are, page 48. So much of it's been pictures, and we've got the majority of the rules. The rest of it is, if we just flip forward, let's get past this gear. Where is it? Yeah, I think this is it here. Actually, the starting of the story and the campaign. Yeah, campaigns. And it just kind of walks you through how you're going to create your campaign. If you're going to do an easy or hard campaign, they even have narratives to go on, a story in here for you to play out if you want to go that route. And like I said, you can roll to create your own events, determine who your bad guys are, who your good guys are. Some people might not like you. They might be a patron. They might be a rival. All this cool stuff's going on here. You have to roll to see what happens if you get to a new world, all this stuff. And I know it sounds kind of in-depth when I'm laying it out, but it's really not that hard. It's laid out nice and neat. And that's one of the things I like about a book that I think is well written, is it's kind of written in the order that you need it. And this is written in that order. How to create your crew, the basics of how the game's played, all that good stuff. And then you get into actually playing the game. Okay, this is how we start the game. This is how we start our campaign. This is how we arrive at a new place and find out what's going on. This is how we get our quests and our missions. This tells you what type of terrain that you're going to be playing on, so you can know if you have arrived at a jungle planet. Most of us have. If you play like Bolt Action as an example, you should have some grassy type terrain, maybe some trees and hills and stuff you can throw out to create a quick battlefield. If you've got core space, like I said, you've already got a little cityscape right there, or junker world, anything like that you can easily create. And it's really something you can throw together with the stuff that you have on hand. You don't have to go in depth with it. But I've already been talking about this longer than I wanted to. I just wanted to give you guys a brief little heads up about the game, that it is fun. There's a lot going on here for you to check out. They do have all these nice appendixes at the back, little charts, and you can print this stuff out as well. Tells you everything you need to know, so you can kind of create your own player aids. But you guys let me know. Do you want to see me play some campaigns of this? I'm working on some terrain pieces, some ship pieces, some extra miniatures, because I'm going to play this in my off time regardless. But if there's enough interest of seeing a campaign or two of 5 Parsecs from home, I'll take and video it when I get going with it and let you guys see how that actually plays out. And if you are interested in something else that's not sci-fi, you don't want, Parsecs, you want a different version. I know they've got one called 5 clicks from something. I forget what the something is. They got 5 clicks, 5 leagues, and 5 parsecs. So there's 3 versions of it. I know the 5 clicks is like a post-apocalyptic world. I'm not sure what 5 leagues is, and this is their sci-fi version. So definitely worth checking out if you are into the tabletop skirmish type game, but you want something that gives you a little more depth. Kind of like, all right, Fallout Tactics, the skirmish game that I played. Check out the video showing that. That's a fun game, but there's not really a campaign to it. There's no real growing and story being developed as you're playing it. This is a different way you could use those components and kind of experience that. You do one thing one evening, and then next week you got another free evening you want to take and go to the next planet. You saved up your money and you will go to the next planet and go attack some aliens and take their stuff. Now, yes, you can play it cooperative. There is a competitive way as well if you want to do that. But this is more designed towards solo cooperative play. But yeah, definitely worth checking out if you want something solo, deeper game, but easy to get to the table. And especially if you've got some of those components already ready to go. I think this offers a lot of good gameplay worth checking out. So if you guys are interested in seeing this, it will take me a little bit to get it to the table. I've got a couple of prototypes ahead of the list that I have to film first. But if you guys would like to see this, I'm going to be, getting it to the table in my own time anyway. So I don't mind filming it if there is an interest. All right, that's going to be it for this one. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.